get started in about 5 minutes, guys. And you know what? Today, as you guys are pretty damn well aware, we got our sales directors. We got, my guy, Adrian Salgado, who runs our sales floors. He was our first successful acquisition hire. And once we hired him, our business just catapulted, right? Because this guy, he was helping me close deals. Back in 2016, he was helping me close deals. And we're gonna have him up here. He's closed hundreds of deals. So it's not like, a lot of people say, oh, I've closed 100. No, I've seen him close hundreds of deals. Then we got Andy Garcia. He's the sales director for offerhome.com. And he's gonna get up here and they're gonna spit a bunch of knowledge because you know what? At the end of it, it comes down to acquisitions. That's where the magic is, guys. That's where the magic is, right? That's the difference between you and the next company. So keep that in mind. In about 5 minutes, this is, in my opinion, acquisitions. I know Sal won't agree with me because there's a lot of pivotal parts that go into a company. There's systems, there's processes, there's data, there's people, but there's marketing. But acquisitions, in my opinion, is probably the most important department in a real estate company. Because those are the hunters, those are the lions, those are the ones that bring the meat to the table. And if you can hunt, and if you can convert, if it takes you less leads to convert more deals than the next guy, you're gonna be that much more far ahead. So this is a very important subject, and I'm glad we're doing this today. We're waiting for, I think we got close to 100 people already registered, right? Can you check? Because at 100, we're going. And I know we need to do a better job at actually hey guys, we're having a meetup. It's kind of like a last minute thing for all the time, right? It's stupid. It's like a last minute thing. Everything we do is like last minute. It's ridiculous. Huh? It does create a little bit of urgency, but you know what? It's tough, man, because we have so much going on, right? We have a podcast, we have the meetup, we have momentum, and we get lost, man. We get lost, and next week on our podcast, which is every Wednesday at noon, 6 months running straight now, our podcast, we have Charlie Rocket. Raise your hand if you know who Charlie Rocket is. Charlie Rocket, for those of you who don't know who Charlie Rocket is, I was introduced to Charlie Rocket Jabali by Alex. You want to tell them a little about Charlie Rocket for now?
First, before I get to that, I want to, congratulate every single one of you for coming today because we had a few hundred register.
225.
I think it was more, but anyways, a few hundred, and you guys are here. So really quick, just a round of applause for making the time, the sacrifice to be here. Let's talk about that for a little bit because I feel like a lot of people want it, but they just don't take the necessary steps to get it, right? We had 500-600 plus register for a free webinar that we did, and only 150, 60 showed up, right? So, right then and there, that's gonna separate you from every other competitor, every other person looking to get into the real estate business, or looking just to ultimately just better themselves. So, congratulations for making it. We got a really good presentation by two really good closers, and I can't wait. And then moving on to the Charlie Rocket. So it's crazy sometimes how you just come across speakers or people that kind of just make an immediate impact in your life, right? And Charlie was one of them. And I forgot who. Actually, how I found out about Charlie was Zion Williamson. He tagged him, and he did a speech at Duke a year ago. And I've been listening to his content religiously for the last year. And then last week, we're driving to a buddy's house, literally right by here. And all of a sudden, I hear Carlos on the phone with somebody, and it was Charlie. I was like, what the heck? Yo, what's going on?
Last week on
Tuesday,
we were going to Zachary Keeps. We were going to Zach's house, right? And then he didn't even know I was on the phone with this guy, Charlie Rocket, right? I know a lot of you are like, hey, Charlie may not be a big deal. Guys, before Charlie was Charlie Rocket, he's what was that?
He's more motivational influencer now.
Mindset, right?
Yeah, mindset, but years ago.
The guy beat.
Yeah, so he had a brain tumor, a cancerous brain tumor that, he had to overcome, right? This guy, How many of you know who 2 Chainz is? Everybody knows who 2 Chainz is, right?
2
2
Chainz.
Chainz.
The rapper.
2 Chainz, everybody knows 2 Chainz, right? Okay. So Charlie actually built 2 Chainz. This is a white kid, and this guy was 300 pounds. And he built 2 Chainz up to be who he is now. This was his manager, right? But then his health, he let go of his health, like a lot of people that are obsessed with certain businesses do.
He was making millions, won a Grammy and all this stuff, but he just let his health completely just go and deteriorate. And along that process, he ended up getting a tumor in his brain. So he literally let go of all the business. I mean, a few multi-million-dollar companies, cut him off completely, and went straight into, now he calls it his finding his own journey. So he went full health mode and lost over 150 pounds. He's reversing the brain tumor as of now, and the guy just became a Nike athlete. Was on the same commercial as LeBron James, Serena Williams, and I'm really excited to have him on the podcast.
And this is literally the epitome of what it takes to actually make it to be a hyper successful person, because massive success is only for like the top 3%. 3%. And that's the problem. Like, I'll give you an example, just like he said today. A lot of you guys, 200 something plus register for this meetup. It's a free meetup. It's a free meetup, right? To learn how to close deals. Okay,
to help you.
Yeah. So a couple, 250, 225, 250 people registered, and we have a little bit over 100 people here. What? Yeah, he's from Cali. My man here drove, him and his wife, they drove here from LA. If you guys want to go.
I remember talking to you like a year or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
3 years ago.
And you know what?
Crazy.
I had to stop this one guy that was going to drive 15 hours, right? I was like, no, man, don't do it. It's, don't. I had to stop this one. But see, that's what it takes. That is what separates the massively successful people from the mediocre people. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with, well, there is something wrong with being mediocre, but there's nothing wrong with having a 9-to-5 job. There's nothing wrong with being caught in the rat race. Because if we thought that, like, oh, we're going to frown upon people like that, no, we can't, because 95 to 97% of the world is in that state of mind. So we can't say like, oh yeah, those guys, that's no good, we should frown upon them. I'm not saying that, but you know what? This is what it takes right here to taking that, no matter, it's commitment. The reason why you're here is commitment, right? Not, when people signed up, they're like, oh, I'm motivated, I'm going to sign up, I'm ready. I'm going to go, I'm going to learn how to close deals.
But how many show up?
But then we have half of the people show up, which is fine. Because you know what? This is who we're looking to serve anyway, right? The people that are truly committed and are not wasting our time or their time. The truly committed. And that's who's here today. So, first and foremost, give yourself a round of applause for being committed. Because there's a huge difference. There's a huge difference between being motivated and being committed. Do you guys understand that? Who understands that? I want to hear from somebody. Okay, you know what? Let me get down here.
Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, actually, let's do that. I want to bring Jacob in a little bit up here.
Okay, real quick. What is the difference between being motivated and being committed? In your opinion, Amir?
I actually made a video on this. Can I stand up, or am I taking a spotlight? And what's crazy is I follow Charlie Rocket as well, and before I came here, it was a spur of a moment decision. I manifested this. I swear to God, it feels like a dream, because I told myself I'm going to be standing on stage with these guys. Because
You look different for 3 years ago.
I look what? Oh, dude, I grew a beard 3 years ago. I was like 22 years old. I'm 25 right now, but
I'm jealous.
yeah, just to get on topic, because I know you guys didn't come here to hear me speak, but the difference between being motivated and being committed is being committed is something from inside. You don't need external factors. Like, everybody can be motivated right now. I'm motivated right now to give these guys all my money so they can show me how to make more. But being committed is leaving here. You know what I mean? I don't know if there's any, what's it called? Any workshop junkies like I am. You know what I mean? You go to, or I was at in the past. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? You go to an event, you leave, you're super hyped up for the next 3-4 days, but then you fall off. But that's motivation, exactly. Being committed is every single day, knowing your why, you know what I mean? And like Charlie Rocket talks, he talks about the quantum theory, how everything has already happened. Everything that you want has already happened, but time still hasn't caught up with it. And I knew driving here, I was like, this is gonna happen. This already happened. I'm just coming to it. I'm driving to it. You know what I mean?
And here you are.
I appreciate it, man. And I swear to God, no joke. I meditated on this last night. I'm back.
So let me say this. Guys, this guy drove 7 hours, by the way. Wait, don't go anywhere. You said this. So my man here, Amir, this is something he visioned. He had a vision. He envisioned himself being on stage.
And guys, we didn't plan this.
No, I don't. I just met Amir literally
He raised his
like
hand
10
first.
minutes ago, right? So my man here, he envisioned this being on stage, and now he made it happen. Like, you know, it happened. What did you say about the way that the mind works when you envision something and then you make it happen, and then you envision something, because that's how the RA, remember, and all that. So why don't you touch up on that? By the way, guys, we're huge on mindset. We're super mindset junkies, but that's what it takes. So go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, so if I'm correct, so what Carlos is kind of swaying to is the belief, right? The belief of, like, okay, by raise of hands, who's ever set a goal, like whether it's a fitness goal, business goal, relationship goal, and actually has done it? I would hope. I think everybody, even you may not think it's a big deal, but it is, because every single goal that we set out with the clear intention and we accomplish it, it builds on your belief level, right? So when it comes to this, I mean, something as simple as this, like, I guarantee you, as he's driving here, he was so committed to somehow, I mean, he was probably gonna just run on stage just to make his intention happen, right? So with that said, whatever you set out, don't fool yourself. Like, if you're gonna set a goal, do it, because if you don't, you're not building the belief, you're actually hurting that belief level with inside you. So.
And I just want to add one thing, because I'm huge on mindset. I've been for the past maybe 3 years, ever since I started talking to you. I talked to you 3 years ago when you were still selling cars, and like I followed your journey. I followed your journey, and it was beautiful. And you were so willing to give me advice like early on.
Thank you.
But the universe had other plans for me. I started 2 businesses in LA. I have 2 investment firms and insurance services. But now I'm going back to my passion. But I wanted to add, when it comes to manifesting, you have to be super detailed. You have to envision the lights, you have to envision the stage you're standing on, the shoes, the laces, where exactly how you want it to be. And I'm pretty sure you know that by now, Alex.
Yeah, so, and just to simplify that, when it comes to visualizing, the key in all of it is to bring that emotion out. Once you bring that emotion out, your mind doesn't know the difference between physical reality and what you're experiencing in your mind. And I may sound like some crazy person up here, but I've literally done that year after year after year, and watch in the next 5-10 years, by what we're telling you and what we're doing every single day, it's going to happen. So either, you know, you can apply that to your personal life and better yourself day after day, or, I mean, just watch.
You know what's crazy? That back in the day, I did like Herbalife and ACN and all these. Bro, those
sounds fancy.
So you know what's crazy?
Fancy.
I remember myself being in the seat, listening to random people speaking like this. And I'm like, what the heck are they talking about? The mindset, and this is manifestation, and this and that, and like all this. And I thought they were crazy. To be honest, I'm like, oh, they have it easy. And you know what? Some of you may think that. It's fine, because I was there. It is. I'm like, this is. Oh, so you're gonna wake up and do meditation? Now you have money in the bank account, like this kind of mindset, right? And if you're thinking that, you're me back in the day. Like, I'm telling you, this is what it was. So if you're thinking that, it's okay. But just know that I was definitely wrong. When you start making the progress and you start growing as a person and in business, definitely, because people mix the two together, right? They're two different things. Like, you can grow as a person, you can grow your business as individually, right? And ever since we start this journey of business, so much we've learned that we can implement with our personal life. And now I can stand here and say, I was freaking crazy for thinking that these guys were crazy speaking up here, because I've seen the transition of things. And sometimes I'm telling Carlos, I'm like, dude, how crazy do we sound like right now when we're talking to someone else?
I don't think we sound crazy because
No, we do, but to some people, like, look, we're online, right? You can go online, like maybe Facebook or YouTube, and find some people are talking about like mindset and find, oh, just do whatever it takes, and like, it sounds cheesy, right? But I'm telling you that I remember, like, if someone has said it before, maybe like if they without doing it, maybe I would think they're full of, you know what? But like for someone who's done it, I'm like, this actually works. This is what it took. This is what happened. Last event we had, which is Freedom, one of my best friends was in the crowd. He was trying to open up his business for the longest time. Every single excuse in the world. The guy is a hustler. The guy outworks me, and I don't say that much about it. I don't say that to a lot of people. And you know who it is. And yeah, and then you know what? After leaving the event, because I spoke directly to him, like saying like some things and unintentionally, freaking opened up his business within less than a month. He's doing great right now, successful, family's doing great. Everything happened, he just needed that little push. If he thought that these guys were crazy and he kept for another 10 years, he would be in the 40s and he's done, he's out. He's out of the game. I'm not saying that he's 40s out, but the business he's in, he takes a lot of manpower. So he needed his age to be in the right time. But he is going to delegate that in a couple of years, and guess what? He's going to be a millionaire in no time. That doesn't mean that we were crazy speaking. It means that we said the right things, and that day, that man changed his life. And I'm not taking the credit, or we are taking the credit, but you know what? It takes that. It takes that. You have to mind F yourself to thinking that, you know what, that one step that I'm going to do, that one thing that I'm going to do, even though it sounds crazy to some people, 4 o'clock in the morning, putting Ben aside. My man drove 7 hours. He doesn't even know who we are.
Raise your hand if you envision yourself just being massively successful. Massively successful, like massively successful. Okay, let me see what that looks like. Oh, Jake, where's Jake? Oh, Jake.
I want to make an example.
Jake? Yes.
Come on, a little louder.
By the way, his dad is not here because he's doing what? Financial freedom.
Yeah. You want me to tell about me?
Tell them how old
Okay.
you are and what you're doing.
So I'm 17 years old. I do online school. I started my company 3 months ago, got their mentorship, and thanks to them, I have 4 contracts signed in 3 months.
Guys, he's 17, by the way. I don't know if you guys see 17.
Cool.
He's not even legal yet. I think your curfew's up in like 3 hours. You know, this guy's 17 years old. We have weekly calls with him, right? We're like, what's going on, Jake? What are we doing, Jake? You guys 4 deals on, I mean, that's amazing. Can you guys give him a round of applause? 4 deals at 17.
Thank you.
17.
What's your projected profit?
Projected profit, $75K.
$75,000.
Whoa.
And you're 17 years old.
Yes.
And how long?
Wait.
How long? 3 months. of
Here's a real question. What are you going to do with that?
Reinvest it.
Reinvest it.
It's one of those things like, we taught you well, Daniel, son. Put it back in the business. Put it back in the business.
You hear that? He's like, oh, I'm gonna buy more Louis Vuitton belts. No, you're not.
Well, yeah, let's give Jake another round of applause.
I hope your dad's team wins. Fun fact: Wolf of Closing is Andy Garcia. Born Closer is Adrian Salgado. That's their IG handles.
Guys.
But, you know, they're living exam. They live.
It's a mindset thing,
Yeah.
man. It's a mindset thing, guys. Sales and closing, it's, you know what, one of the most powerful things that you can obtain is the ability to close another human being. Okay? The wealthiest people in the world, okay, they've adapted, they've developed that skill set of closing other people in the world. As you guys know, our current president, right, Donald Trump, that motherfucker's a closer. Let's be honest here. I don't care if you don't like him, I don't care if you like him, he's a fucking closer. So, raise your hand if that's a very powerful personality trait to have, is the ability to close other human beings. You closed her. He closed his wife. I mean, this is true. You closed your wife because she's way out of your league. So he's a born closer. I mean, he closed his wife. His wife, no disrespect, but you're no fucking Brad Pitt. You know what I mean? So anyway, without further delay,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Do.
all right, so we want to bring up Mr. Andy Garcia and Mr. Adrian Salgado.
I hope you guys are excited. We're about to go over some good information right now.
It's not good.
It's great. It's great
It's great.
information.
Let's be honest.
Let's just be real, right?
You guys are gonna feel cheated at the end of the event, honestly, because
Yeah.
we didn't spill enough beans.
And also, you're going to feel cheated because a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about is stuff you probably didn't even know, or you might have been using unconsciously, so you weren't using it to the best of its ability. We're two completely different closers, right? The way I do things, the way I talk to people, the way I handle certain situations, is not the way my friend here handles every situation. We do this very differently. You know, I'm much more to the point. I'm direct. I like to talk business. I work in numbers. The more people I talk to, the better it is for me, the better closing ratios I get. As opposed to this guy, and it kind of pisses me off, right? Because we're sitting right next to each other, you know, and I'm pounding out 100 calls, and he pounds out 30, 40, and guess what? He has an old lady giggling, and next thing you know, he closes her.
There's 1,000 different ways to skin a cat, guys, and I want you to know there's 1,000 different ways to close a deal. You can be him, you can be me, or you can just be yourself. Ultimately, that's the goal, right? What works for you, and how are you guys going to close more deals? And that's exactly why becoming a sales expert is key. In any business, let's be honest, in any business, becoming a sales expert is key. You need to be able to close prospects.
Rapport building, just to dive a little deeper into that, that is one step that you cannot miss. And it's a step that I've never skipped when I am doing a deal and when I've done a deal with the homeowner. At the end of the day, if these people don't 100% trust you, they don't feel that you're legit, they don't like you, they haven't found common ground with you, they're not going to do business with you. I mean, Adrian, how many times and how many deals, how much money have we made, you know, from people who prefer to do business with us as opposed to somebody else, and yet we come in at a lower offer? Like, how often does that happen?
I mean, it happens quite often, to be honest with you, especially us being virtual. I mean, the fact that I'm able to lock up a property in, let's say, Las Vegas over somebody that's actually there, you know, that's mind-boggling. Because if I felt somebody from a different state was locking up properties in my area, I would feel like, you know, that I'm territorial. I'm a shark. You know, we're all trying to be sharks. So I want to bite that. I'm trying to bite that. I'm trying to eat that. So if I'm able to do that by building trust, building rapport, it just goes to show how important that is, right? This person has never seen me, never met me, they don't even know if I'm in the same country, to be honest with you, but I'm still locking up their property.
Let's talk about the 60-40 rule. By raising hands, and I'm a hard critic at this, okay? You have to be a hard critic on yourself. How many people would say that their sellers are not talking 60 to 70% of the time? When you're on the phone with them, how many people would say that their sellers are not talking 60% of the time?
And I know it's hard for you guys to gauge. We have tools that actually gauge this for us, right? So that's why we know about the 60-40 rule. So who feels like they speak more than the seller on a daily,
That's
every
a better
phone
question.
call?
Who talks more than their seller?
Let's keep it real, y'all. Keep it real.
So you guys are shooting yourselves in the foot. I know only one person, and he's standing back there somewhere. Randy. Where's Randy? There he is. That's my man Randy, the resident shark.
He'll talk your ass off.
Randy will talk 90% of the time and close you after talking 10% of the time. But
isn't the beauty of persuasion amazing? Like, come on, like we do stuff so differently. Like, don't limit yourself. If you can't relate to us, find somebody else who you can relate to, okay? There's different ways of doing this. As you can see, I mean, my man speaks 90% of the time over there. Him and I, we're on the same page of this. You know, a healthy balance in the conversation is 60% seller, 40% you. Now let's talk about the 80-20 rule. We split them up. We don't feel like, you know, because at the end of the day, the seller could blabber on, but it's not about the right things, right? It's not about the right things. They could be talking about the condition the entire time. We feel like 80% of that conversation should be rapport building, and 20% of the conversation should be business.
Question for you. So,
Yes.
so when you're doing the rapport building, right? Is there any amount of time that you said, hey, should it be a minimum 2 minutes? Should it be hour? Doesn't matter. Is there any time frames that you recommend?
so here's a time frame that I recommend. If you have a seller on the phone for 10 minutes or more, then you're in the golden. You're in the money time frame, right?
That's money hour right there.
Those are money minutes right there. So 10 minutes, and then some people, I mean, they don't want to spend 30 minutes on the phone, 40 minutes on the phone, an hour on the phone with the seller because it's just like, oh man, I'm wasting all this time with the seller. I could be making more phone calls. But guess what? If I told you, if you spent an hour on the phone with every seller and you're gonna lock up every deal and it's gonna produce you over $20,000 spread on each deal, I mean, how many of you guys would actually do that every single time? Exactly. So I've spent several, an hour and a half, an hour, 15 minutes on the phone with the seller. But guess what's happening in that time frame? I'm starting to build this rapport. I'm getting their whys. I'm getting their needs. I'm getting their wants. Because all sellers have these things, wants, needs. So we have to listen to their wants and we have to satisfy their needs at the end of the day. And that's the only way you're gonna make the deal happen. So if you cut them short and you don't let them speak that whole hour, you're gonna miss some of their needs and you're gonna miss out on a deal.
So let's do some closing remarks. Guys, I quit my job March 7th of 2016. I was doing bandit signs out of my fiance's 2006 Nissan Rogue. Okay?
The transmission was going
Not the Rolls Royce.
No, I definitely didn't have a Rolls Royce in March
So
2016.
you're telling me that
I didn't have a $50,000 Hublot
No,
on.
you
I
didn't
didn't know
grow up.
nothing
You
like
didn't grow up
that.
with money. No one.
Stun alert.
Hell no. No, I mean everybody. You guys know my story. I've been so fucking dirt poor. I was probably poorer than any of you in here. Poorer than anybody. You know what I mean?
Sal, my
You
God.
see where
Sal
I
got
took
you.
Sal. So Sal comes from Iraq, and I
Came
took.
from oil mining. The good area.
No, you don't
I'm
have
just
oil
kidding,
money.
guys.
No.
Not.
So listen, this is how fucking poor I was, right? And I'm okay with that. Okay. I took Sal to take a look at where I grew up.
It was a cardboard house. I'm not lying.
I took Sal and I'm like, yeah, bro, look, this is where I grew up. I literally physically took him there, right? He's like, where? Where did you grow up? I'm like, right here. Like, I don't think you guys understand. We literally used to take fucking cold showers out of a bucket. My grandma's kitchen was straight dirt, and we ate. And I'll tell you what our diet was. It was literally like beans and tortillas. That's all I'm saying, man, is if I can be where I am now, by the grace of God, and obviously my business partner and the people that I surround myself with, because, ultimately, one of the biggest life hacks on this earth that you may not know right now, one of the biggest life hacks in this lifetime is surrounding yourself with the right people, okay? You gotta surround yourself with the right people. And it's gonna take a lot of sacrifice. If you really, first and foremost, raise your hand if you ever wanna be a millionaire. Raise your hand if you wanna be a millionaire. I mean, everybody in the fucking room wants to be a millionaire, right? Raise your hand if you ever want financial freedom for you and your family. Right? Raise your hand if you ever dreamed of being so fucking successful. It's fucking crazy. It's just crazy, right? So everybody in this room. So do you guys understand what it's gonna take to get there? Raise your hand if you understand what it's gonna take to get there. Can we go around? Who has an extra microphone? I really want to hear some of this shit. I really want to hear some of this. So, raise your hand if you understand what it's going to take to fucking get there. I already know you know. Let's go right here. Can we give this man a mic right here? Mr. Joseph?
No, Joe.
What is it going to take to achieve the things that we just spoke of?
Crazy sacrifice, all commitment. It's all it is. It's just a lot of grind. Those days are going to be tough. There's days where you're going to get told no. There's days where you're going to get told to go, mind my language, you're going to get told to go fuck yourself on a regular basis, and it happens. But then you remember your why, right? I got a 3-year-old who's looking at me every fucking day.
Let's go.
And I know.
It's all happening at a corporate job. Like, you get that at a corporate job too, right? You still get no's, you still get, like
Go fuck yourself.
Rejection.
go after yourself by your manager or by your higher up or by other people. You can quit that job and you can start over. Obviously, if you have to make some sacrifices or you have to do both at the same time, it's okay. You have to make some extra time. Carlos, before he quit his job, he cut down his hours until 4 o'clock, and after 4 o'clock was real estate.
3
right?
o'clock.
3 o'clock. And 3 o'clock, after 3 o'clock was real estate, right? So you don't have to quit completely, but it starts here. You quit mentally, right? When you're at a corporate job, it's okay. Which, fuck them. You can quit anytime. You can always get a different job. There's no shame of having a job, but you should be shameful if you have the will to get something better going, but you're continuing to latch onto this job because you're so comfortable. Whether people is going to judge you, whether you're comfortable with your family, whether you're comfortable with your friends, whatever it is your circle. Because guess what? When you take the entrepreneurship, you are going to lose some friends. I bet you he lost some friends already. Some family members told him that he can't do it. He was crazy. Mr. Corey Geary, right? For God's sake. Yes, right? So, guys, this may be not your thing, real estate, but business at the end of the day. Think about this. The kid that gets bullied on or whatever, the nerd, he like Bill Gates, whatever, he has the most employees, right? You don't want to be the guy that does not take the leap of faith. You don't want to be the guy that just sits around and, okay, I'm comfortable with this, I'm gonna go home, have my drink, watch TV, and do the same thing over and over and over. And you have a vision of yourself doing better.
And I know that we got to wrap it up, but first and foremost, what I want to say is, thank you all for coming.
Los, real quick, before you do that, right?
Where's the logic?
Right here.
Yeah, you're
I
crazy.
think what's really big, all 5 of you, I personally could verify your ability to deal with rejection. I think that's a staple of every one of you guys' success. And hopefully you guys see that. The ability to go through multiple no's from life, from sellers, from investors. I think if you're able just to speak a little bit about that, because I think a lot of people sitting here struggle with rejection. It's not fun to hear, it's not fair. How do you
Guys,
overcome
it's
that?
very simple. If you can't handle rejection, if you can't handle making sacrifices, then you don't deserve to be in that top 3%. It's very simple.
Put your hands together.
Right? I mean, if you can't handle a little hardship, if you can't handle making a couple sacrifices, you gotta ask yourself this question, guys, and this is like, we're going to church here, like literally. You don't deserve to be massively fucking successful, right? If you can't handle something so small, if I ask you, hey brother, are you willing to go knock on 1,000 doors? And he says, no, I don't want to. I'm gonna, he makes an excuse or he gives me a reason. But we see, this is the way it works, right? It took us 6 months to get our first deal. It took him 9 months to get our first deal. So you're not alone. If you're like hunting, you're not getting your first deal after 1 fucking week and you quit, guess what? You don't fucking deserve it.
I cut for it.
You don't deserve it, right? What happens? Yeah, you don't deserve it. Okay? If this is the way, the human brain works, right? If I say, hey brother, if you go knock on 1,000 doors, you're gonna be a fucking millionaire. Is he gonna go knock on 1,000 doors?
No.
Yes. What do you mean no?
If he believes he can.
No, if I say, hey, if you go knock on 1,000 doors, you're gonna be a millionaire. He's gonna go knock on 1,000 doors.
Yes.
But if I say, hey brother, you gotta go knock on 1,000 doors, and you may get a deal. See, he's gonna say, oh fuck, I don't know about that, man. You know what I mean? And that's what it comes down to. So if you haven't got your first deal, if you're working on getting your first deal, that's what it really comes down to is, are you willing to make those sacrifices and put in that hard work? Because you know what? At the end of that road, at the end of that line, I mean, it's gonna be the difference between you and the next person. That person that's willing to go farther without quitting, that's what's gonna be the difference between you and that other, and the 97%. All right, so keep that in mind. Nobody up here had it easy. Nobody. You see us like, oh, look at those guys are driving Rolls Royce. Are you fucking kidding me? I didn't even know what a fucking Rolls Royce was 3.5 years ago.
Prius today.
What was that?
My Prius.
What?
I drove my Prius.
Yeah, he drove a Prius. So, guys, I didn't even know what a Rolls Royce fucking was less than 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago. I didn't even know what a fucking Hublot watch was. I didn't know what an estate was. I didn't know what an IRA was. I didn't know what it goes on and on and on. I didn't know what Hawaii was. That was just, this was just dreams and visions. So what I'm trying to tell you is, you gotta keep at it. You can't give up, because if you give up, you don't deserve to live the life that you dream of. Do you guys understand that?
Fire. Alex, I know we gotta wrap up,
All right, so
one question
wrapping
to
up.
you.
We want to thank you guys for supporting. We want to thank you guys for coming. And we appreciate you guys, man. Raise your hand if you ever listen to our podcast, by the way. Thank you guys. Thank you. We've been doing that shit 6 months in a row. I never thought I'd
Consistently.
like, it's crazy. 6 months in a row, it's not easy, man. Like, it's not easy. But you know what? There's so much shit that we drop on there. There's so much knowledge that we drop on that podcast that wasn't given to us growing up. And that's one of the main reasons why we do it. Because we drop so much on that podcast, and it's free, by the way. You can tune in anytime you want. You can either get it on iTunes or Facebook. YouTube, Facebook, whatever.
What's the name of it?
There's All In, it's called All In Podcast. All In Entrepreneurs Podcast. So, yes, ma'am?
So, on the podcast, my 9-year-old sits in the car with me, and we listen to podcasts of you guys and some other motivational people all the time. My 9-year-old is ready to get his own EIN number.
Let's go. Come on.
Damn.
He loves it. It's so inspirational, and it's so just good freaking content. And me as an entrepreneur, I need this shit every day.
Let's go.
So,
Dial in.
you know what's crazy, guys? And I'm going to be quite honest with you, by the way. We've only been doing shit for 3.5 years, okay? All right, so I just want to tell you guys this, and I'm making you guys a promise, you know, and God willing, obviously, we never will change, you know, our ways and our humility, right? Because that's something that we never want to change, and we always want to support the people that support us. But I want to say this: we are in a stage right now, and I know this for a fact. God has given me this message that we are at that level. Like, we're not at that level yet. Like, you guys may say, like, yo, those guys are doing pretty well. We're not at the level of the Tony Robbins in the world and the Dean Grazioses in the world. You know, the only thing that separates us from them is right now. What do you think it is?
Time.
What was that? Time. See, you guys are some smart motherfuckers. I know that for a fact. Those people have been doing it for 40 plus years, 30 plus years, right? That's the only difference. We've been doing it for three and a half years. You know, God willing, you know, we obviously cut that time, the curve, and we get there a lot sooner, but that's the only reason why we're not at that level yet. It's because of time. We can't do much about that. We can't do much about time. Because as we all know as entrepreneurs, that's the only commodity that we cannot purchase, right? That's the only commodity that we cannot purchase.
We can hack it.
We hack it here and there, right? We hack it in different ways. We buy time as often as we can, but we gotta just let time do what it does, you know? And we're gonna continue to, God willing, do what we do, and we don't have to wait 30 to 40 years like a Tony Robbins to impact the world as much as we would love to impact the world. Okay?
Yeah, and with real quick, and with that said, like, I know every single one of you wants success in any aspect of life, but you have to trust in that. And how you can correlate this to your personal life is, like, I'm destined for greatness. I'm destined, whether it's real estate or anything or any other business venture, but time hasn't caught up yet. Just have that mentality, like, I'm doing the daily work, I'm doing the day-to-day activities, but time hasn't caught up yet. And eventually,
did you guys hear that?
That is a life hack.
You're on the right path, but time just hasn't caught up yet.
Just keep that faith and that mentality every single day, and just keep doing it day by day. Just remember, time hasn't caught up yet. And on your lowest day, whether it's today or tomorrow or next week, just keep remembering that time hasn't caught up yet.
So when I first started business, before even business, and I was losing for almost a year and a half in the car business. And if you look back in the day, and I said this in the podcast, if we look back in the day and say, I was stupid for not giving up, right? Like, if I were to analyze this and look at my previous self, saying, like, how stupid were you to continue doing this what you're doing? But today, I thank myself instead of saying I'm stupid, because that's what put me up here today. Well, that's what put us up here, I believe, that we've done some things that it did not seem smart, because my circle, my family, everybody said that you were wrong. Like, what the heck are you doing? What the heck are you thinking of doing this? But if you do really deep, if you deep inside believe that you can do this, whether it's real estate or not, believe it or not, when we were doing real estate, the only confirmation we had is seeing other people make it. That's it. What the few checks that you saw online, the few podcasts that we saw.
That was the only hope.
That was the only confirmation we had. So we're here standing a live confirmation, live proof that this actually works. So, by the way, this is a free event that we actually paid money to be in here. So we're telling you this that this actually works, we really mean it. We sincerely mean that.
Guys, I know there's somebody from other, industries, not just real estate. I think you want to generalize that because this is confirmation that entrepreneurship works. Not just real estate is our bread and butter, but entrepreneurship works, and it's the same up and down cycles. You just have to keep going day by day, and at the end of the day, it is always worth it. And not just for you, but for your family and those around you.
Let's
You
get
don't
a
want to
round.
just keep running and like stop in the middle.
Let's get a hands around applause, please.
With that said, that concludes today's event. We will announce our next one here in the next few weeks. But with that said, drinks are still good in the back, and then we have the next hour to network. And last question before we close up.
My question is mostly towards you, Carlos, because I know you're a father, but feel free to weigh in on it. If you could not pass on any inheritance to your daughter, but only financial principles moving forward, what would they be?
Nice.
I have a podcast in my
My fiance's, where's she at? Where's Vanessa? Outside?
What's Queen V?
Whatever. See, my girl was with me since I was like 16, 17 years old, right? So she held me down for forever. And we have a 7-year-old and a 1-year-old. We have 2 daughters. And I give her, I actually drive my 7-year-old, she's in the 2nd grade now, and I drive her every single morning, right? And you know what I'm doing? So she's not gonna have the adversity factor that I had, right? She doesn't have to go through this struggle. She doesn't have to go through all this adversity, through this really, really hard life, right? Oh, there's Vanessa. Hey, babe. Hi. Hello, there she is. So, she's not gonna have to go through this hard. God willing, she doesn't have to go through the life that I went through, right? I didn't have much of a childhood, much of a teenage, I had to be the man of the house. I was the oldest. But the difference, what I'm doing for her now, and what you can do for, how many kids do you have? You have one? You have a dog, okay. You have a dog, so you really can't do this with your dog.
Manifesting a
But
child.
okay, you guys are planning on having kids, right? So you know what's gonna separate, what you're gonna have to do for your children that someone didn't do for you? Maybe, God willing, they're not gonna have to go through the adversity factor, but you have an advantage. You can program them. Their X factor could be the programming that you install into their mindset. You understand that? Because nobody installed programming into, I had to read Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. I had to read, The Magic of Thinking Big. You know what I mean? I had to read all these books to get the right programming. So what you already have, you have an advantage that when you have kids, it's not going to be so much, God willing, adversity, because nobody should go through the kind of shit we go through, what we've gone through, right? But you can program them to be successful. What do you think the richest, most wealthiest people in the world have? Like a Donald Trump. No, like a Donald Trump. Donald Trump had Robert Trump. You know what I mean? Robert Trump wasn't Donald Trump. When Donald Trump took over his business, he 10x'd it. You know what I'm saying? Right? He asked him for $1 million loan, but he had programming. That right there is a difference maker between the 97% and the 3% is programming. Really early on in age, just program, mindset, program. You guys understand that? Raise your hand if you understand the programming aspect. Okay, that is my biggest advice to you when it comes to children. You know what I mean? Because that's what I do with my daughter every single morning. Yep, for sure.
All right.
Let's get a round of applause.
All right, guys, thank
for
you
the
so
team.
much.